Hello, hello, hello. I am here with Mr. Kenneth Johnson right now, and he is actually the organizer of TEDx Harlem. And we're fortunate enough to have the opportunity to talk with him to and him and I were chatting about this before we, hopped on here. But the way we were talking about it was if the spotlight normally goes on the TEDx speaker and the speaker's on the stage, this way we can kind of turn the spotlight on to the actual organizer, that the person that is behind the scenes that organizes everything, that he didn't need to go out of the way to build and organize a TEDx talk, not paid anything, all volunteer work and all the work that he puts into it. So Kenneth, I'll give you the chance to introduce yourself, and we'll go from there. All right.
Yeah, sure. Kenneth L. Johnson, organizer of TEDx Harlem. As Ryan had mentioned, that's kind of something that each organizer does really as a passion project. Let's just call it what it is. But when I'm not doing that, I'm the president of East Coast Executives. We're a diversity recruitment firm based here in Harlem, New York, with an international footprint. Companies come to us when they're looking to add diverse talent to their recruitment pipelines. That's the work we do. We've been doing that work for 22 years now. Also the founder of Black Box. Black Box is an app, BLKBOX.tech. We've branded it as a career consciousness portal to support the careers of Black men. So those are the things that kind of, let's say, pay the bills. But TEDx Harlem is a passion project that I'm really proud of, and I'm just amazed by the support we receive in the Harlem community. We just did an event October 28th. I don't know, 300 people in attendance, give or take. And it was an amazing event, 9 great speakers. And those are the types of things that make us smile.
Love it. So, like we were talking about before, you didn't need to choose to do this. So what was kind of that story behind the decision that you made to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to become a TEDx organizer and build this TEDx Harlem. How did you go about making that decision? What did that
Sure.
journey look like for you?
Yeah, so I think it was 2018. A gentleman, I had been in communications with a gentleman. His name is Dr. Dan Young, and he's a TEDx organizer. And he basically had provided an opportunity for me to bring my TEDx talk to his stage. It was TEDx Goldie Beacom College out in Delaware, in Wilmington, Delaware. And I delivered a talk called The Face of Workplace Diversity. They did a great job out there. I was really just humbled that they allowed me to speak and to allow me to deliver something that I'm extremely proud of. But then afterwards, I started thinking, and I'm like, wow, I wonder if there's one in Harlem. I was living in Harlem at the time, been living here for a while, and I just thought it would be amazing to have one here. And come to find out, there had been one. It was back in 2012. So it had just laid kind of dormant. So I approached Ted about, what they were doing with the license, if I could apply for the license, and if they would be willing to kind of let me do what I do. And they were. So 2019, we did our first event. And since then, we didn't do 2020 because of the pandemic, but 2021, 2022, we did non-audience virtual events. And then 2023, October 28th, we came back to a live in-person event with TEDx Harlem, the Malcolm X Boulevard edition.
That's awesome. So it seemed like you had a, 1 foot in, kind of pitter pattering in like the shallow end of the pool, so to speak, right? And then it just kind of got you hook, line, and sinker to the TEDx world.
I think I was locked in. It's just, I've always admired the platform. I think they do some amazing things in presenting ideas worth spreading, ideas worth sharing, however you choose to look at it. And with that being said, I'm always one for professional development and for voices being heard. So within that framework, always been a big fan. And then once I did my talk, I just saw the power of it, especially when those talks hit the YouTube channel. And I said, you know what? I want to help other people kind of live that dream out as well.
That actually rolls into the next question very nicely. How do you go about selecting the speakers and the theme for your TEDx Harlem talk every year?
All right, so I'm gonna start on the back end of that question. Our themes, we have some loosely fitting themes, right? We don't kind of hone in on a specific thing, but we try to keep it very Harlem centric. So we've done, the Renaissance Revisited, right? So speaking to the Harlem Renaissance. And then we've done TEDx Harlem, the Metaverse Noir. Then we've done TEDx Harlem Strivers Row. And Strivers Row is an area in Harlem where a lot of Black professionals lived in that area: doctors, lawyers, actors, musicians, business owners, and they were considered strivers. They were trying to live this American dream here, and so we did Strivers Row here in Harlem. And then the last one was Malcolm X Boulevard, TEDx Harlem Malcolm X Boulevard. But Lenox Avenue in Harlem is named Malcolm X Boulevard, so we did it at Harlem Hospital, which sits on that boulevard. So it just made complete sense. So that's the theme part of it. As far as the speakers, really, I honestly just, so initially I just looked at people that I thought were doing amazing things in the neighborhood, right? And it wasn't hard to see. You can watch the news and you can watch New York One, and you can just kind of living in the neighborhood. It's a very close-knit community, and you're going around and you're seeing people do amazing things. And once I saw people with amazing things, I figured they probably had amazing stories, or at least an amazing point to share. And I would just tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, listen, I know we've never met. Some of them I haven't met. Some of them I had known prior. And I just say, I'm Kenneth, and I'm the organizer of TEDx Harlem. Listen, I'm not sure if you've ever thought about giving a TEDx talk, but I'd love to have you. And no one's turned me, well, one person's turned me down so far, but everybody else has been on board. And then the Metaverse one, we didn't require people to have a relationship with the Harlem community. We just required them to be SME, subject matter experts in tech and metaverse things. And that was interesting too, because we were able to cover, cryptocurrency and the blockchain and the metaverse and tech in general. So that was interesting, but it was just, it was really, I just kind of went out and I had some support with some people, like pointing out individuals in the space that they thought had something to say.
I genuinely believe that every single person on this planet has a TEDx talk idea worth spreading in them, but they just need a little bit of help pulling that idea out of them. And so when I say that, what does that kind of coaching journey look like from when you find someone that this person has a story, an idea worth spreading in them? How do you bring that person that has, it's like such a strong, powerful seed? How do you help them kind of blossom into the flower that they become when they're standing there on that red dot on that stage when they actually deliver their TEDx talk? What does that look like?
Yeah, so there's a journey to the process, right? You'd be surprised at the amount of people I've approached who didn't believe they had anything. I'm not going to say they didn't believe they had anything of value to share. They didn't think maybe they could share it at scale or at mass, right? That it was something that people would want to hear. But I think once you just sit down and really have some candid conversations about the brilliance that not only you see in them, but also just pointing out the things that they've done, it's a simple process from there. Most of the people that have showed up on our stage have been in positions where they've spoken in public before. They were in leadership roles, either with their organization or in the community. And I think they were comfortable with the offer. But again, people often think, wow, I don't know. I'm not sure I can get up there and stand for 12, 18 minutes and deliver. So you just kind of walk them through kind of how to position that and how to break that down into smaller stories with a call to action on the back end. And that allows them to kind of see it. And then I think it's really important to stress to them how valued they are in the community that we serve in the Harlem community, like the people that we've had speak. And I'm not, everybody doesn't have to be this community star or community stakeholder, but I think, they still add value just as a person in the neighborhood and in the community. Some of them have great jobs where they really have an impact in their particular sector or vertical. And some of them, again, are individuals that are entrepreneurs or individuals that are in the community or people that were in tech that really had information that wasn't known to many, but should be known to all on how we can leverage it. So it's been an amazing experience.
And for the person that they know deep down inside they have a story to share that is, evidence to the idea we're spreading that they want to spread, that they know they're almost, here on this planet to spread, how do they go about getting on your TEDx Harlem stage? What does that journey look like for them?
So for us, we get reach outs constantly. So people visit the website, TEDxHarlem.nyc, and they reach out and say, hey, listen, would love to show up on your stage one day. Can we have a conversation about what it would take for that to happen? And we kind of walk through that process. So that's a good way. I think, it's been really interesting because we're back to a live event. So this is the evolution of kind of building something, right? So in 2019, when we did our first event, I'm not sure one person came to me after the event and said, hey, look, I'd love to be a part of the next one. But in 2023, I no less than 7, 8 people came to me at the event saying, you know what? I really love what you're doing. Please let me know how I can get involved. And by getting involved, that's typically wanting to speak. So I think that's really interesting. So that could be a couple different things, right? I think we're curating a community that people are really checking for us, and the people that attend are really serious about, kind of how they're showing up in the places that they show up. But also, I think people are starting to see the value of the platform and starting to really appreciate, the authenticity that comes along with the way we're delivering it. So it's exciting. We're getting ready to start doing TEDx Harlem Salon events. I'm not sure when you're going to release this, but our first salon event will be February 1st, 2024. So we're extremely excited about doing that. The next one will be our first one. So I'll keep you posted, Ryan.
Love it. And what I love about this opportunity to have, TEDx organizers share their experiences and share their stories, it's almost like, opening up under the hood in a car, right? Where you can kind of see what's actually going on under the works that majority of people don't really get to see. They just see the TEDx talks on the YouTube channel after, which, 99% come out fantastic, and that's why they're there. So the question I have for you is, what for you during this journey? It sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's been 3 years so far, or 4, because you started 2019 is what you said, right? 4 years. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, 4 years. 4
So what have
years.
been the challenges and the benefits for you organizing these events? Kind of looking under the hood. What has that been for you?
The challenge is, all right, yeah, I'll start with the challenges and end with the benefits, right? So the challenges, I think you alluded to it in the beginning. This is something that we take on, and there's a cost associated with, especially I'm here in Manhattan. So for people that don't know, Manhattan space rental and things of that nature can be extremely, extremely expensive. So space rental, and then hiring a professional crew to do your video and audio. And then also, we've been working with a person that's doing the imaging, right? So our social media imaging. So Lisa Prophet and Gina Ramcharan have been crucial to kind of moving that process along and creating great promotional imaging that we can use on social media. But they're doing that as volunteers to the project. But everything else pretty much is at cost. And I don't care if it's a step and repeat that you want to have on site, or if it's just printing out flyers for people to know the agenda. There's always a cost associated with it. So that's challenging. And I just need personally to get better at identifying sponsors that can help kind of underwrite some of that. And we'll get better at that. I think the pause during the pandemic stopped some of the momentum, but as I mentioned, we're coming off of a large event. Now that we have the larger license, our first event we had under 100 people because we had the original license, and then we were able to get a larger license to allow us to have more people. So we're working through that. The benefits, man, it feels amazing to help people in that way. And I'm not saying help people by helping them craft their talks. You're really giving somebody something that's evergreen, and it'll stay on that YouTube channel, and they can use that not only to promote their messaging and the thing that brought them there to talk in the first place, right? So you can promote that, but also your own personal brand. When I look on their LinkedIn profiles now, they have TEDx speaker, And it's great to see them promoting that and that being part of their brand and them being proud of the affiliation with TEDx Harlem. So those are the benefits indeed.
And over these 4 years, like you kind of touched on with what you just said, there are a lot of very impactful ideas and a lot of lives that you can change from sharing, almost extracting these ideas from these people's heads, their brains, and putting them on this platform and this stage to kind of shout and show to everyone. How do you best measure the actual impact and the reach of all these TED Talks and your TEDx event overall?
Wow, that's a good question. And it's great because I'm not sure I ever thought about it, right? Like, how do we measure impact and success? I'll tell you one thing that I think really works for me. There's a gentleman named Dr. Jonathan Quash. He's at CUNY, so in New York, that's the City University of New York, right? And Dr. Quash runs what they call BMI, and it's the Black Male Initiative. And we had someone reach out to us and say, hey, look, we aren't going to be able to attend in person, but as an organization, we wanted to support the cause. Is there someone that you know that needs tickets? And we were able to give Dr. Quash and his students a group of tickets for them to attend. And I think that's real impact, to bring people that are younger. I don't know when I found out about TEDx or how long it had existed prior to me finding out, but I just think exposing not only those students to the TED platform, but TEDx Harlem, and then the speakers individually that are there. Man, we had an amazing group of speakers. We had 9 speakers for the October 28th, 2023 event. And all of them stuck around and were more than willing to have conversations and talkbacks with individuals that were there. And I saw a lot of networking being done. And those are the things that are going to lead to community and to lead to opportunities for everyone. So that's the big piece for me.
I think that, it touches on a really cool point, which is sometimes it's the way you measure it is when you see the conversations that the TEDx speakers at your event are having with the audience members that just listen to them speak. And I think that, like, I always tell people, doing a TEDx talk, feels amazing in the moment for the ego or whatever it is, but the real powerful emotion and feeling for the speakers as far as the why is, after your talk, when you can actually see those people in the comments and see those people live in person telling you the value that they got from that talk that you didn't realize you would have, and you see, wow, just because I was courageous enough to get up here and share my message, this person's life is different now as a result of that. And I think that's super powerful, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about that, but I think the fulfillment that comes from it's another level. I think words are almost even insulting to describe it. I think for last question I have for you before give you the floor to ask any questions or say any messages you have for anybody here. You've seen a lot of TEDx talks, right? At your event, at other events, so you kind of see what makes the best ones. So I asked this question for the aspiring TEDx speaker or the person that's kind of sitting there on the fence, like I want to do it, but I don't really know how to do it. I'm kind of thinking of it. What do I do here? What are some of the most memorable and surprising talks or moments that you've seen over these past 4 years, 2019 to 2023, from your TEDx event, having seen so many of these talks, which stick with you in your head today and arguably will always?
Okay, so I want to start at the first one that we did in 2019. There were some amazing speakers. I believe that Michelle Hope, she delivered a talk, and I won't speak to talk titles because I can't remember them, but I thought her talk was amazing. I thought she did a really good job of delivering an impactful talk. we had some great speakers there. Ash Cash, Minda Harts, Arva Rice, like really, really solid people, Karen Hunter. So it was a great event. And I know I forgot some people, but no disrespect. I'm just naming off the top. But I thought Michelle delivered because she gave you a peek into her experience, but then also gave some actionable things that people can do to prevent them from experiencing that, but to allow them to grow. So I thought that was great. When we did, I guess it was probably Stravers Row was the next one. Great speakers once again. Sam Sia from Harlem Biospace, Nicoa Evans, Harlem Park to Park. But Ebony Carrington, I thought, delivered an amazing talk. She's the former CEO of Harlem Hospital, but she delivered a talk that spoke about how she was leading a whole community through a pandemic from a platform and a foundation of responsibility, all while being a new mother, going through a divorce and things of that nature. So it was a real badge of perseverance for someone. And that type of vulnerability is rarely seen on that type of stage, but I thought she delivered it well, and I thought she delivered it with a lot of grace and etiquette. So I appreciated her talk. The TEDx Harlem Metaverse Noir, whew, had some good speakers there as well. Some that stand out to me, Jamil Shank, but also Stephanie, Tech Life Steph, right? She goes by Tech Life Steph. Stephanie Humphreys. She delivered a really good talk. It was interesting. She has this great tech background, but she delivered a talk that was very career-centric. But it was about using tech platforms like LinkedIn and things of that nature to advance your career. And I thought it was apropos. We were in the pandemic, and a lot of people were really looking for ways to reinvent themselves and to brand themselves. And I thought she gave a peek into how she went about going from someone that wanted to just kind of pursue a journalistic career into a tech expert. She's an engineer, I'm sorry. I think it was from engineering into being a tech expert, basically. So I thought that was great. And then most recently, TEDx Harlem Malcolm X Boulevard Edition, 9 amazing speakers. Wow. You know what? I probably can't pick a favorite for them because I've only watched the videos once. And you know, when you're an organizer, you're running around and you're doing so many things that often you don't get to see the actual talks until later. So I was able to view the talks. My camera guy, Bruce Savage and David Brest, they got information to me and I was able to take a look at the talks. But I don't have a favorite of that bunch, but I have some people that gave their time that I know time is of the essence for them. And you know, Shea Wood and Ivo Filbert and you know, Julio Gomez, like a lot of people that just kind of locked in and said, hey, Ken, I'll take this ride with you. Tamika Rochester. So it was interesting to have them as part of it because they're really big names in our community. And I just appreciated their support and the seriousness of at which they moved about doing business. It was a business event. They came, they delivered amazing talks. We celebrated afterwards. And those are the things that really make it special for me. So I hope I answered your question. But yeah, you know, the talks that always catch me are the talks that offer a call to action. So I ask all my speakers during our process leading up to TEDx, when I check in with them, it's the first thing I say. What's the call to action? What's the call to action? When people get up and leave that building that day, what are they going to walk out onto Lenox Avenue, wherever we're at? What are they going to walk out and say, wow, here's what I need to do tonight or tomorrow to really have some impact in my life? And that's what I took from seeing that talk. I can't wait till somebody calls me and says, hey, listen, I was on the 2 and 3 train and a kid came up to me and said, wow, I saw your TEDx. That is going to be amazing because that's why we're here, right? It's legacy building. It's subject matter expert, informational just offerings. It's a lot rolled up into one thing, and it's TEDx Harlem. And we're really proud to bring that to this community because it's such a dynamic place to live and to just represent. So we're excited and happy, man.
Love it. And I know I did say that was the last question, but I'm a very future-focused person, and I'm just from my own curiosity, what, you know, based on these you kind of paying attention to the speaking industry, however you may call it, everything from paid speaking gigs for professional speakers to TEDx talks for TEDx speakers to, the TED event I think it's in Vancouver every year. I might be wrong, but where do you see, kind of the puck going, so to speak, with the speaking industry as a whole, seeing what you've already seen and seeing kind of trends and seeing maybe what you've learned from other TEDx talks?
Yeah, I love the question, by the way. So it's really important for more voices to be heard. And I think the way TED in particular, TEDx, the way they do their programming and the way their platform operates, it just continues to amplify the voices of people that may not have been heard otherwise. I've listened to so many people with so many great ideas just because I just some nights take a dive in and listen to talks, right? And I think they do a good job. The website is great. The YouTube channel is great. They do a good job of kind of segmenting things out so you can find what you're looking for. But I think as a whole, and the community as a whole, I guess an example would be even my TEDx, the face of workplace diversity. People have heard it. I've gotten business. People call me out of the blue. People are using it to share at their universities for their classes. Listen, man, I'm a guy. Thank you. I'm a guy from the East End section of Uniontown, Pennsylvania, then South Philadelphia, and like professors and leaders are calling me, telling me they've shared that with their class or with their workforce. And that to me is simply amazing. So if I can give other people the opportunity to experience that feeling, I won. I feel pretty good about that. Yeah, I won. So that that works for me. And then being here and living here in Harlem for the past 20 years, and I can do it with this on my chest. Yeah, we're winning for real. Harlem for the win. So it's exciting to me, and I hope that the speakers, I feel it. I feel the energy and the way they respond and react to me, that they're excited not only for the opportunity, but when I can reach out to them and say, hey, your talk is live on the TEDx YouTube channel. We celebrate those moments, so that's a good thing.
Oh yeah. And then any last remarks to the, aspiring speakers, the person that's again kind of sitting on the fence thinking of giving a TED talk. Maybe it's a professional speaker, aspiring speaker. Maybe it's a TEDx speaker that's already done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're like, I don't have the time to do another, and they want it. They're not sure. Maybe it's the business owner that doesn't have the time because they're running 3 different businesses at the same time, and they don't have the time to go apply, and they don't think they have the time to prepare. What is it that you tell all of those people to, that maybe is entering the conversation that they're already having in their head, but they're not sure about it yet? What would you say to those people as your last remark here today?
I'll definitely say they do have the time. They have the time because they're needed. Again, I think it goes back to the right voices being heard. There's so many voices being heard that aren't always about us coming together as people, and I mean a global community of people. And I think if you believe that you have a message to share that will either empower others, educate others, or provide professional development to individuals that are seeking it, then you have an obligation to share that message. So you do have time to do it. It's just that's the piece for me, right? People finding time because people deserve to be heard. And I don't think there's any age limit on who should or needs to be heard. I don't care if the person's 7 years old or 97 years old. If you have an idea worth spreading, TEDx is a great platform. If you just want to speak professionally or speak for a living and you have ideas worth sharing, I think you should indeed do that and do that responsibly. But this is what we're all here for, is to communicate and network and make sure that we share ideas that can change the world. And I'm just happy to be part of the solution when it comes to that. That's a big piece for me.
Love it. Well, Mr. Kenneth, thank you for taking the valuable time out of your day when you could be doing 90,000 other things with your time right now.
Before we get off, Ryan, I want to thank you, my friend. I think you're doing amazing work. I
Thank you.
sincerely appreciate you reaching out and allowing me to spend this time with you openly on your platform. It's been great. I just want to say thank you. But also, you kind of open my eyes to the other side of the story, right? Where do people get information about how to become a speaker? What are the organizers actually thinking? And you know, we don't really have. There's a community of organizers. TED does events that allows us to get together, but again, I don't think it's at scale as far as participation. But I think it's really important. So this may be a way for all of us to kind of take a peek in to understand one another better. And listen, if there's another organizer out there that has a question or maybe wants to kind of open my eyes to something, this is why we're here. Please reach out. I'm accessible at all times.
Love it. I'll end the recording here. I hope anyone who's listening, you found this valuable, kind of taking that pick your brain moment inside of Kenneth's brain. And there you go, TEDx Harlem. Thank you for listening, and we'll see where this goes. All right. Cheers, y'all.